name is Miriam Galdelli. Welcome to my newest episode of the Adaptive Human podcast. Today I'm super excited, and my kids think I'm the coolest person in the world because I have a magician on here. It's Scott from Scotland. How you
That
doing?
makes it so much easier to remember. Miriam, I'm great. Thank you so much for letting me come and do this.
I'm super excited because when I joined networking groups and I became a business person, I never imagined that some of the people in there are magicians because I always saw you guys as like these cool show guys that you pay lots of money to go see, and that you're all men of mystery or women of
Oh,
mystery.
and it's good because there are lots of women of mystery now, which is awesome. But yes, we do like to keep a low profile, you know. And there are, I mean, there are many magicians around, but not many go to networking groups. Not many are real sort of business. It's like a hobby that gets out of hand. So when I took it from being a hobby to what I'm doing now, it was a very steep learning curve. It would be great to have somebody like you there at the time to help me with it, but it was a case of having to find my way and find out how to market and how to sell and how to price and exciting things. But the best part is I get to do magic tricks for people. It beats working for a living.
That's exciting because it doesn't like a magic show. I mean, I remember getting like this magic set when I was a kid and pulling these magic tricks for my parents where obviously they knew what was going on, but they still were encouraging and clapping and everything. But then you see the real thing, like
Yeah,
actual magicians do things. And, as a scientist, I sit there because I was a scientist. What's going on? How did they do this? That's impossible.
it's a great combination of different ways that we attract the audience's attention. I mean, one of the things is everyone thinks misdirection. We make you look away, but it's not really true. It's more direction because if we make you look away, you'll know that I made you look away at that point. So there's a lot of sort of psychology behind it as well, which is good fun. But I think the best way to make people enjoy what you're doing is just to enjoy doing it. And if you look like you're having immense fun doing it, then people enjoy the tricks you're doing as well.
That's amazing. I think anybody who can do something that they really love for a living, they're truly lucky. Um, but this year, or 2020 and still now, brought a lot of changes for you, right?
One or two. Yeah, it's been interesting. Remember when we first went into lockdown, and I thought, wow, you know what? It's fine. I'll take a couple of weeks off work. Is genuinely what I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to be locked down for a couple of weeks, and that was all. And yeah, it was. I remember that when we found out it was going to be a lot longer, and it was like, okay, what do I do now?
Mm.
What can I do? Because everything at that time, everything I did was live entertainment. There was no online outlet for it. Everything I did was purely live performance.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it was an interesting time, but then again, it was an interesting time for a lot of people.
I think, I saw a meme online that said on March 12th here in Montreal. It's the 1 year anniversary of the 2 week lockdown. What are you going to wear to your living room to
Yeah,
celebrate? Right. And even me as a coach, right? I'm so used to walking into the office of my client, meeting all the employees, and all the team trainings, team coachings are gone right now because you can't go in and see their synergy. And a lot of companies don't want to do it on Zoom. And I can't even imagine for you, your whole business was based on in person.
yeah.
So how
So and the
you adapted?
well,
How
to be honest, at the start, the Zoom thing did not appeal at all. Because I love what it is. It's the energy from the audience that I feed on. So my kind of show, it's more conversational than just talking at people. And so it's that kind of energy that I love when people talking back to me. And I encourage it. They're not heckling, they're joining in. And I thought on Zoom I couldn't recreate that. So I didn't think I could be the best that I could be. I didn't want to do a show that was underwhelming. For me, everything I do has to be really good. And it took till I think October when a friend of mine came and said, Scott, could you do a show for us? It's my wee boy's birthday and we're getting the family together and we thought we'd do it over Zoom. And I thought, uh, I didn't really want to do it, but it's a friend, so I'd better do it. So I found a magic set, not magic set as in because, but the set routines I was going to do and basically worked on how we could make them as participative as possible to let people join in and do that. And I did it and it worked. And at the end of it, I got real buzz from being back in front of an audience performing. So what I did then was I took that show and just sort of tweaked it a little bit, honed it a little bit. And since November, I've been performing this Zoom show quite a bit, doing Christmas events. I've done Zoom shows in the US and then Canada and in Ireland and across the UK, which has been really good fun. So I've basically toured the world as well, which is great with this little magic set. And the great thing is people can still join in, people can still take part, and I can still talk to people, and they get people punching the air and yelling amazing. I've got no idea what their neighbors think they're doing, because all of a sudden people next door are going amazing, you know. So um, and so that's been a good part. And then another part of it was one of my favorite performing places is at trade shows or exhibitions where I work in my client stand and I use magic to tell the story of the product. So when people come over and say hello, say, hey, don't worry, I'm not sales, I'm the company magician. No, really, let me show you. So by the time I've talked to them, done something for them, they're ready to be introduced to the salespeople. It's a very soft way of introducing people, and it's good fun. And what I've started doing is doing that and creating 60-second social media videos for my clients now,
Oh, wow.
using magic again to tell their story. So I've just completed one, which hasn't gone live yet, so can't show you just now. It's when the client publishes it, then I can. It's for a dog walking company.
You
And she
you don't
set up
make the
this
dog
wonderful
disappear,
academy.
right? You don't make the dog
No, no,
disappear.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Well, it crossed my mind, but I didn't. But you ready? And I came up with an idea, and Miriam, it was a really stupid idea, but because I had no idea how I was going to do it, and it just nagged away at me, and it took 3 weeks to put together. But what I want to do is to hold on to the dog lead, and
Okay.
then at the end, I'd said something like, "Let Lisa lead the way." You see what I did there, right? And the dog lead rose up in the air like the Indian rope trick,
Okay.
right? And I just thought, so that's kind of what I do. I did one for business coach, and I had a little beach ball, and I made it float in midair to talk about his
Ooh.
business because it was about setting your business free, you know.
This is
So
you're just
it's
making me
good
think,
fun,
why haven't
and
I thought of this?
well, it's just a different way of doing it, and the nice thing about doing it in video is that people watch it again and again and again, and then tell their friends to come and watch it because it's got that extra thing. Is I don't like magic being a puzzle. I don't want it just be about, oh, how does he do that? Here's how I think he did it. What I'd love the audience to look at and think, wow, what if I could do that? What would it be like? That's a much better outcome. But for the sake of videos, it's nice for people to watch it over and over again. So it's not replaced my income, but you know what? I'm having really good fun playing with dog leads. I made a big mistake with that because I forgot to take into account the big metal bit in the end with the clip.
Oh, no.
So yeah, because what I'd done was see to get the idea going, I'd practiced with rope,
Okay.
right? And I thought, well, if you do rope, the lead should be okay. And yeah. So anyway, it was a lot heavier than and
So
it was a lot
you just
chunkier. And but you know what though? It was good fun coming up with it. It was hard work doing it. But then I had to be able to do the trick and talk to the camera at the same time. And it took about 12 attempts to do that and get the words right. But eventually we had a real nice video. She loves it. I send it to my video producer. He adds all the titles and graphics and bits
okay.
and pieces to it. And it's going back to her, and we're just waiting for her to send it out live so we can share it.
Well, that's cool. Do you have a blooper reel?
It's
Because
good
I'd
fun.
love to see the blooper reel.
Funnily enough, right? I do from something else before. At the start of lockdown, my friend Jay in Australia is an incredible magician, incredible world renowned magician. And he put together 5 performers. There was myself and Jay, there was Gino in China, Tom and Eric in the States,
Okay.
and we did an hour magic show online.
Oh,
And we
wow.
each filmed our individual segments and sent them into Jay, and he edited them together into the show. And there was bit that we wanted to do a trick together. And the idea was that Jay was going to do something very clever because he does clever things. And he turned a handkerchief into a little yellow ball. Beautiful. And then he dropped it. And it cuts to me sitting at the table having my breakfast in my dressing gown, right? And this yellow ball dropped into my cereal bowl.
Oh.
Well, we have two lots of blooper reels about getting this ball to land in my cereal dish. Right, it did not want to land. It wanted to bounce. We tried putting water in the bottom of the bowl to stop it bouncing. In the end, I've got a great picture of my wife on a step ladder with a selfie stick as yellow ball dropper, right, and trying to get it to land in there. And of course, I'm trying to hold this position, right, of like staring at this to without giggling to for this ball to drop into my cereal dish, which was funny. It looked really good in the final video, but it felt kind of silly at my kitchen table, you know.
Thinking on it now, like some of the things you're doing now can still very well
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
continue
absolutely. Yeah,
things go
we
back
can
to
keep those
normal.
online things
Hmm.
normal. Yeah, not sure what normal is anymore, but I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. The online business can stay there because how great is it to be able to travel to travel the world doing Zoom shows for people. I'm now working with in a collaboration with magicians from Latin America, from Spain, and from Singapore. And we're looking to put on another online event.
Okay.
We're targeting July, I think it is,
Hmm.
for doing it. So it's going to be a virtual Magic World tour.
Oh, wow.
We're just putting the ideas together for it, and we want to make it a real collaboration because I love my friend Tommy's in Singapore, and these magicians have a certain approach to magic,
Hmm.
which looks great. As in the South American magicians are the same. They have that, and the Spanish, the Spanish magicians, especially with the card magic, they have this amazing presence when they perform it. So it's great to have like people from different countries doing magic because it shows you that it's not just the tricks;
Yeah.
it's a whole performance. It's the people doing the tricks as much as the tricks themselves, and that's where the entertainment comes from. So yeah, the online stuff is definitely staying. It took me a long time to adapt to it, but I didn't want to do anything that I wouldn't have been proud of
It's
before.
if you're not used to being online and doing things online, it isn't easy. I taught a class a few weeks ago and everyone had their cameras off. I felt like I was talking to myself, which I do all the time,
Yeah,
but I don't usually do it while I'm standing looking at a computer. I'm usually doing a bunch of other stuff at the same time.
yeah,
So, um,
and it's strange doing it to the camera because I did a live TV show a few years ago with a friend of mine who's a TV personality, and even then it's strange trying to do this TV thing, and where it's to camera rather than to a live audience.
mm,
Um, I mean, I was only on for about 20 seconds. It was great. So I just had to go in and set the trick up with him, and then I disappeared and let him do the funny stuff. But it worked quite well.
okay.
Strange though, because on my way home, we filmed it in London, and I live up in Glasgow. And the next morning, I was driving back, stopped for coffee, and when I got a change, she said, "Here's your change, Scott." I went, "I don't remember giving my name." And I'm looking, sometimes you go into a coffee shop, what's your name? And they write it in the cup.
Yes.
And I'm like, "How do you know my name?" And she said, "You were on TV last night." Uh, oh, yeah. Okay. So, and it's like, okay. And the next couple of weeks were like, people said, "Didn't I see you?" Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, we're
That's
talking about, I
get
do
you
this a
in
lot, by
trouble
the
with
way.
your wife.
I kind of, I kind of go off in tangents, by the way. So
That's
just rein
okay.
me back if I wander off too
Tangents
far.
are great because we learn a lot about business in a lot of the tangents. Business and life, they're not linear. Nothing is linear, right?
No,
And
absolutely. No.
you know what they say, like plan for the worst and hope for the best? Like that's business. But it's amazing because I keep telling my clients, and sometimes I get asked to guest speak in a school or in a class for entrepreneurs, and I always tell them that being an entrepreneur, it's not about having the best idea. It's not about having the best business plan, because let's face it, most business owners will write their business plan and never look at it again, right? And it's about seeing that opportunity. It's about seeing that
Yeah.
idea. And you talked about using your magic as a promo because people will rewatch it. The first thing that popped in my head is just yesterday I was thinking, should I try to get my book published by a publishing house? Should I try to get my book published by myself? How am I going to market it if I have to do it myself? And I'm thinking this is a great idea, and why hasn't Scott spoken to my marketing company that I use, And so you start thinking of all
Hey,
these things because there's
yeah,
opportunity. It's amazing.
there's opportunities everywhere. And what I've kept saying to people is that, you know, what we're going through just now has been great. We've lost quite a few businesses. UK's lost some household names and companies through this. However, we have a brand new generation of entrepreneurs who are waiting at the sidelines right now. And when we reopen, they will be coming in and taking over businesses and creating new ventures. So it's at the moment, it's endless possibilities right now. Plus, with the new technology that I know it's not new technology, but to a lot of people, this is brand new, being able to do these video calls, right? So we've got all this technology at our fingertips. We've got new entrepreneurs coming in. I think it's going to be a massive time. And I think marketing is going to be really, really important. People like yourself, helping people where to go with it, because you can have lots of ideas, but unless you know where to use them, and that was always my thing, because I became a full-time magician because I was made redundant from previous jobs 3 times in a couple of years, and I kind of lost interest in going to work for anybody else. I remember I'd come back from a really dull interview as assistant manager in a shoe shop where they sucked the life out of me. And you know what? It wasn't a job. I'm not putting anything down because I love retail stuff, but the people that interviewed me just sucked the joy out of everything. And I came back, saw my wife, who was 3 months pregnant with her wee boy. I say my wee boy, he's 21 now, but he's still my wee boy. And I said to her, you know what? I think I'm just going to do magic full time because I've been doing it on the side at weekends, doing odd shows now and then. I said, I think I'm just going to do it. And she said, okay, which was more stressful because I expected a bit of a conversation about it. But she just said, no, okay, if that's what we want to do. So I gave myself 6 months to make a head start on it. But I didn't have somebody like you to help. So it was really like, yeah, it was a lot of floundering and a lot of, I'm not sure what direction to take this in. And, for quite a while, I survived the first 6 months, which was nice. Um, but I really wasn't sure what direction to go in. And for the first few years was a case of just jumping at everything going until I found my place in the world,
I think that's the hardest is
which
finding your
came
place,
through.
and the hardest
Yeah,
is finding your
exactly.
place. It's what you like to do,
Yeah,
who you
I
like to
mean,
work with.
yeah, because when you do magic, there's so many areas of magic that you could move into. I mean, one of the things I love doing that I don't do that much, basically even before the pandemic started, is doing children's events. I love doing children's events because when you get a room full of young kids and you take them on this journey, because with young children, you're a magician, you do magic. Uh, so it's not the tricks themselves, it's the journey you take them on. And they raise them in peaks and troughs and peaks and troughs as doing it. And I love that experience. It's just, I don't have time to fit them all in, you know. So I do a few, but I love doing things for children because they're all about the stories, and they have their own train of logic. So we used the magic wand and it worked last time. So hey Scott, why don't we use the magic wand this time? Is it good idea? Like that idea? Let's try that. And so it's been not talking down to them,
Hmm.
you know, but I was going to say I'm a grown up, loosely speaking, right? But we're all part of the team. All the kids, me, we're just the same group. It's just that the magic happens around me. Magic's kind of like the force. It's there. You just have to tap into it. And sometimes it doesn't quite do what you want it to do. So, but yeah, so you can go into things like magic, kids entertainment. There's like mind reading. If you want to do serious mind reading type thing, you can go down there. There's stage shows. There's cabaret comedy club style is
Mhm.
really popular. Close up magic. I love doing close up magic when you're right in front of people and you can really see the whites of their eyes as you do the thing in their hand. And that gives me that extra buzz.
Wow.
So there's lots of different areas, and sometimes it takes your time to realize where your path is and what you want it to be. And yeah, I'm glad I'm doing what I do. I've got to be honest. Like,
That's
it's
amazing.
the best job in the world. With all respect to business coaches, right? It is the best job in the world.
I'm a foster parent, and I had a little 5-year-old boy for about a week. And I have a picture on my wall of me and my best friend sitting next to Santa. We couldn't quite sit on his lap because, well, we're grown-ups and we would have crushed his legs. Um, and he looked at it and he said, "My mom always tells me Santa isn't real." And I said, "Well, that's your mom." I said, "I have a picture with Santa right there. I didn't say he's real or I didn't say he wasn't real." And he looked at me and
No, uh-huh.
he said, "Mommy just lost her imagination."
Yeah.
And there's
Isn't
that
that cool? Isn't
innocence,
that brilliant? Kids are like that.
and I looked at him and I said,
Kids are just like that.
I wish I could, be like that. And sometimes I do just go outside and you look at the stars and you try to think of that like what magic is left in our lives
Yeah,
and how do we keep ourselves happy and the fun and it's amazing. I think what you do is incredible.
yeah. You just go outside. The magic is everywhere. It really is. I mean, look at a flower, right? How does it know to grow to that size? How does it know to bloom at that point? Where's this come from? It's magic's all around, and sometimes we forget. And all we do is we just forget where to find it. And it takes 5-year-old kiddies to remind us.
It does
Because I've
because
got my sister-in-law as a foster.
yeah, that was such a
Yeah,
shock
my
to
sister-in-law
me.
fosters as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
great. And the kids they just bounce back. I mean, one of my favorite things is I do some stuff for an organization in the UK called Reach, which is for kids with upper limb deficiency, is a nice way to say it,
Oh
because they're
wow.
missing fingers, they could be missing hands, they could be missing arms. And I go in and do magic workshops, right, for kids that don't have hands. And what I do is I say, right, okay, here's how I do it. You guys come up with a way. Now, the
Wow.
thing that Reach is, their whole thing is it's the ability that matters. So we're not interested in disability, it's the ability that matters. I remember I was teaching this trick and how to balance a glass on a playing card. Right, you have to be there to it. Anyway, and so Chun was in this, and there was a wee one there, and she was just amazing. She was about 4 or 5, and so I'm working with some of the kids, and then they hear this Scott, 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 and look down, and she's scooting across the floor, right, on her bottom, heading towards me, and she didn't have arms at all,
Oh,
right? It's just a wee kind of buds there, and she keeps scooting along, Scott, Scott, Scott. So she's got the card and the glass between her toes. And I thought she was going to come to me and say, I can't do it. And that's like, no, can't have that. And she said, look, 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 look. And she did the trick with her toes, right? Seriously, did the trick with her toes. Now, one thing, I had to go and take a breather because it was just wow. And then the other thing is, don't, I don't want anyone to ever come to me and say, I can't do that, right? Because I know one wee girl who desperately wanted to do it and wouldn't let anything get in her way. And that's what kids are like. They're just so resilient. And the thing with these kids, well, they're not missing. She's not missing arms. She's never had them, right? So she's just her life is she just deals with things a different way. It's awesome.
I heard a talk from an Olympic sprinter who actually held the world record for quite a while. And he said that when he decided at I think 9 or 10 years old that he would be an Olympic sprinter and he would be the fastest man in the world. Everybody told him he couldn't.
Hmm.
And it's so amazing because what if we would start telling people that they could? I mean, if you're 120 years old and you tell me you want to train to be an astronaut, I might find some obstacles you'll have to overcome. But what if we started telling kids they could? What if we started telling each other
Yeah,
they could? And I think that's what magic brings us is you could do it. You could do anything.
yeah, of course you can. I mean, anybody can go out and do magic. Anybody at all. I mean, so I've done workshops with very young kids, and it's great. I've done workshops with kids who are kind of disenfranchised with things,
Mm.
and I've videoed them doing a trick for their family. And these are the kids that don't talk to their families, but magic gives them this outlet. It's something really special. I've done workshops for adults, who run away going, look what I can do, look what I can do, and you get that 5-year old back inside, and that's what it is. Magic's kind of like Christmas morning.
Yeah.
It's that feeling you get when you see a really cool magic trick. You feel like you're 5 years old again. It's that kind of buzz and energy, and and that's the best thing about magic. You
Yeah.
don't need it to be cutting edge. You don't need it to be anything else.
Yeah.
It's just magic. And so what I love, my friend Jay that I said in Australia, um, he used to come to UK and put on these events, the Palace of Magic and magic festivals and things. And there was a place called Falkland Palace in Fife, and we would take it over and be full of magicians doing magic just for the sake of doing magic. It wasn't about money, it wasn't about egos. We just went up, and all the people that come normally visit this site, they would come in, and just so happens those 2 days it was full of magicians doing magic. There were stage shows, or walkabout magic, close up magic, different things going on, and we just did it for the sake of showing people magic,
That's amazing.
and it was just great. It was just great. I walked about for 2 days with this huge grin, especially because one of the special guests was a magician called Ali Bongo.
Okay.
Now, Ali Bongo in the UK, legendary magician Ali Bongo. He was on kids' TV shows for years and years and years, and he was part of this, right? And every time I saw Ali Bongo, I was like, oh, Ali Bongo, you know. And then we're sitting having a coffee afterwards. So I'm sitting talking to Ali Bongo, you know. And so the magic, I've not forgotten that. I still love it. The one thing with magic is when we find out things are done is disappointing because I like seeing things and going, you know, that's a great trick because I don't know how it's done and I don't need to know how it's done. If I enjoy it, I'm 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 okay with just enjoying it.
Well, I
So
think
yeah, sorry,
that
I'm not going on about magic again.
but magic is what you do. Magic is who you are, you know?
Yeah,
And you get so excited. I see that. I love that. And if
yeah,
only more people would be excited about what they do or the business that they're in. And
yeah.
I think it's incredible the opportunity that you jumped on this year to start changing around and
Oh, so I didn't really jump on it. Got to be honest, it did take a
okay.
bit of persuading. In fact, I'm going to show you. This is what persuaded me. Right, it's my shark. Right, because a friend saw me kind of struggling with stuff about how things were going and sent me a Lego shark. And that made me smile and thought, you know what? I'm sitting here doing nothing, um, wallowing in self pity, whatever you want to say. And there's people that think of me that much, they'll send me things. I just like sharks, you know. And that was really a turning point. I just said, right, okay, I need to do something. What am I going to do? And that's where it came from. Was that was a turning point? Was getting this little guy through the post, and I'm so glad that Brian sent it, and because that's what I'm doing just now. And like I say, I'm doing Zoom shows in the US. I did one for family a couple of weeks ago. They
Oh,
were just having a family get together. That's all. And there's about 5 different screens, and just did it, and people are joining in. We're doing card tricks through the internet. Through how far is Ohio from me? Many thousand miles.
yes.
I can't remember. I didn't look. But I'm doing card tricks through the internet, thousands of miles away, to make people
Wow.
smile, and that's it. And it's amazing when you think about it. That what we can do through this incredible technology that we've fallen upon. I have two great friends, one in Canada, one in the UK, and they team up to put on virtual events.
Hmm.
And so whenever they have a virtual event, they get me involved. It puts me on stage again in front of people. And again, it's that thing. I think. I'm more addicted to that, the buzz
Mhm.
from doing the shows than I realized I was. Because when I started doing the Zoom shows again, feeling that, going, oh, I quite like this. When's the next one? Yeah.
You know,
So it's good. So yeah.
my favorite like movie, I guess your obsession is sharks. For me, it's Harry Potter, the movie. I have the 3D.
Oh, okay, I'm
I
familiar.
I have the cutting board. I have everything. You are familiar, and it's just it's not even the storyline as much as just the magic in the movies, like that
Yeah,
imagination and that
it's
happiness that it brings you.
yeah, and again, it's a bunch of kids being told, yeah, you can do magic.
Exactly.
You can just go and do it, and funnily enough, I got an email this morning about somebody's wanting to put on a Harry Potter style event. I'm thinking, yeah,
I
I can probably help with that. Don't don't really watch Harry Potter to be honest, but my family do. My family really into it. I just think it's like he's waving a stick. He's got a stick, right? It's a stick, and he's calling it a magic wand, right? It doesn't have white ends on it or anything. What's that about?
It's
But
funny
I
because
think I think magic is just
I had just thought to myself, if he
good.
could do a Harry Potter magic show, I'm booking him for July for my birthday.
Well, I've got a friend in Portugal that does Harry Potter events. So let me know. Yeah, but yes, I don't really do Harry Potter events. Mostly worried about Warner Brothers wanting to sue me for it. But I feel some things. I've got a couple of things to do it inspired.
Mhm,
About Harry Potter because there's some great ideas in it. I've always loved the idea of the portraits coming to life and talking to you.
mhm. That's pretty cool,
Because can you imagine, having these portraits that could be like 100 years old, and having the portraits actually telling you about their lives and what was happening 100 years ago.
that's amazing.
We live in a really old house. It's 140 years old or something, this house. And you think, I want to see if the walls could talk. How cool would that be? So I do have something that I do where, I can have a picture that comes to life and talks, and chats. So, that's quite cool. So like I said, there's some bits in there that I really enjoy. I just like the fact that, that flying cars, why not? you know, and having this other world out there. And again, prove this it doesn't exist. Just
Exactly.
because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not there, right? So who
And
knows?
it is in
Maybe
Scotland.
maybe it's a well, maybe it's a documentary.
Maybe,
But we
maybe.
just don't realize it. Of course, it was created in Edinburgh, of course. J.K. Rowling. Yeah. Huh? So yeah, still Scottish influence.
Exactly. So it's really, I think it really what it brings people, and we can't deny the fact that millions and millions of people have fallen in love with that,
Oh yeah.
And the same thing, like
Oh
how
yeah.
many kids love a magic show when when they're young, and as we get older, we still love the magic shows. I went to a conference and
Yeah.
our opening act was a magic show and it was a business conference.
Hmm.
I didn't want to have to do the cleanup for the cards afterwards, but such is life.
Yeah, the cleanup's not a good thing. We used to do a big touring show, and it finished in a snowstorm. And the place would be full of little white bits of paper and foam to make up the snow. And yeah, then we'd have to clean it up at the end,
Oh God.
which wasn't that much fun, but
No.
it's worth it at the time for people's reactions because we used to have it under ultraviolet light.
Okay.
So when the snow hit, it really, it glowed when it came down. It looked spectacular,
That's beautiful.
and then, well, that's like we had the show where it took 3 hours to set the show up when we arrived at the venue, and then we were on stage for 2 hours, and then you finish up. It was about an hour and a half to get stuff back into the vehicles, and then driving home. And being that 2 hours on stage was awesome. But I just it was the all the rest of it. It was draining. Especially the cleanup at the end because you do this thing. You're like, yeah, this is done great. Okay, now I've got to sweep up and put stuff in the car. Yeah, that's why my wife came along. She was great at logistics. She knew the order everything could go back into. It's like Tetris at the end of a
Oh,
magic show. You know, everything's got to go in the right. You got to turn it the right way to fit in the back of the car.
That's amazing.
So yeah,
Everybody needs somebody
you
who
know,
can play Tetris. Trust me.
just listen, Don. That's what she actually, she does health and safety and logistics,
Okay.
right? To such an extent, and during one of the shows we do, I do a levitation where we get somebody from the audience, right? So this is somebody from the audience who doesn't know what's going to happen. We do a levitation on stage, and Dawn is actually there as health and safety and logistics,
Oh wow.
and she's at one end and I'm at the other. And until we are both absolutely happy that everything's good, we don't go ahead
Okay.
because these things magic. They don't work themselves. They can go wrong, and if something like that goes wrong, you talk about somebody falling and hitting the floor. So she actually came on to do the routine wearing a hard hat and a high visibility jacket that said health and safety and logistics in the back of it.
Okay.
Because, and the funny thing is, everyone laughed and ha ha, but it was completely true. She was my second set of eyes to make sure that the person that was up with us was absolutely safe. Yeah,
That's incredible.
because when I started doing that, that levitation we did the first time I saw it, um, the magician went, got somebody from the audience, put him on it, did the thing, and the audience member fell, right? Because he didn't have somebody keeping an eye on the whole thing all the time. So, it really is a team game to make sure. So these things, they aren't like you don't just buy a thing and it does it for you.
No.
You still have to put a lot of work into it to make sure that everything's happening and makes people laugh and smile.
Well, when I can get to Scotland, I really hope that you set up a magic trick where I can levitate because that would be really cool. I've always
Would
wanted
you like to
that.
levitate, Miriam? You come here. Where would you like to float? We could take you to. We could float you by Loch Ness,
Sure, as long as
and
I
or
can
we could
see
go.
can I be high enough so I can see the Loch Ness monster?
Well, I'll give them a call and see if we can arrange her to be free that day.
Perfect.
You know. Well, what you want to do? Come to Loch Ness. There's Urquhart Castle, okay, which sticks out. It's like this little pointy bit where the castle is. The castle's in ruins,
Okay.
but the history of the castle's amazing
Wow.
because it was built and then people attacked it and took it over, then somebody else attacked it and took it over, then somebody else attacked it and took it over. And I've actually got this wonderful painting here, which is Urquhart Castle from the loch. And when you see the castle on the corner and underneath in the water, there's just this black, dark object.
That's
It
amazing.
could be a shadow, or so it's just again, but it's one of those really special places where you just stand. It's like the only other thing is I years ago visited Las Vegas
Hmm.
and it was amazing and can't believe how big like Canada in the US is because I went to the local tourist attraction, which was a flight into another time zone to the Grand Canyon. And we were there very early and we did the trip in the helicopter to Canyon and then the boat ride in the river. There were no other vehicles moving. And so the guide we were with said, "Boys, I never get to do this." And he switched off the engine on the powerboat and we drifted. And the silence in the canyon, the silence echoed, right? And the same at Loch Ness. When you stand, it's just quiet and too still and just waiting for any moment that head to come out the water. And, it's an amazing atmospheric place. And when you stand there as well, at the other side of the water, on the other side of the loch, you can see a stone circle on
Yeah.
the hilltop.
Wow.
It's like, ooh,
That's incredible.
interesting things happened there
It's
once upon a time.
magical.
It is magical. Everything's no, everything's magical. Sometimes you just can't see it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's okay to wear blinkers and not look at the things we don't like, which leaves us free to remember the things we do.
Okay. So tell me, Scott, if somebody listening to this podcast today wanted to contact you
Mhm.
because they wanted a magic show or a magic promotional video or
Mhm.
anything
Just to
magical,
say hello, I'm good with that as well.
okay, how would they
So
contact
yeah, basically, I have a very easy website. It's called scotlandsmagician.com. Or if you go into Facebook facebook.com// Scotland's Magician,
you?
dead easy. You can go in there. The Facebook stuff is good because it's got what I've been up to. And it'll let you know as well as like Shadow the Rabbit.
Hmm.
Right, I have a rabbit called Shadow,
Okay.
and she writes the blog in my website.
Cool.
Okay, I don't come out of it very well because I'm just her driver. Apparently, it's her show. She's a total diva. She's a total diva rabbit, and
Okay.
it's her show. And in fact, she now has a TikTok account as well. Because when I stopped going out to work, she decided I couldn't be bothered, and so she took over the business.
Oh,
So there's a few
wonderful.
videos of her on her tablet or on her laptop, doing the actual work. So yeah, so Shadow. So you'll see a bit more Shadow in the Facebook page what she's been up to,
Beautiful. So we're gonna go take a
because
look
she
at
is more interesting than me. Yeah, yeah, you gotta check out Shadow. She's really cool. Like I say, total diva though. So I am just her driver. That's
that.
all I'm ever going to be. And she doesn't even mention me by name. I'm just magic guy. That's all I get called. You know,
Very rude, very rude. You
but
should take her
she is
character
awesome.
away.
No, sorry. She says she's actually because um, Scotland gets kind of cold. I think Canada now and then gets a bit chilly as well sometimes, right? So I couldn't stand the thought of her out. We've got a porch that should be in, but it still be cold. So what I did was we've got a room next door that used to be my office, and
Okay.
I gutted the office, and now it's where her hutch and her big run is. So she's inside, so I can actually, if I do this, I can see her just to
Beautiful.
make sure she's behaving herself.
There we go.
Yeah, my pal. See, a magician should have a rabbit. It's important.
Exactly. My name is Miriam Galdelli from the Adaptive Human. A huge thank you to Scott for having joined us today. And we
Oh
hope to
no,
see you.
thank you. Thank you so much, Miriam. It's
Thank
been really good fun.